Today's topic is on solvency ratios. Solvency ratios shows the ability of a firm to repay its long-term debts. ദീർഘകാലത്തെ കടം പേയ്മെൻറ്റ് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള ഒരു സ്ഥാപനത്തിൻ്റെ എബിലിറ്റിനെ കണക്കാക്കുന്നതാണ് solvency ratios. There are 5 types of solvency ratios: debt-equity ratio, debt to capital employed ratio, proprietary ratio, total assets to debt ratio, interest coverage ratio. First of all, we discuss about the debt equity ratio. As the name implies, it shows a relationship between the debt and equity. That is, the equation is debt equity ratio is equal to either debt divided by equity, or we can say long term debts divided by shareholders funds. Long term debts also include other long term liabilities and long term provisions. Shareholders funds include the share capital. Share capital comprises of two capital, that is equity share capital and preference share capital. Equity share capital is the share capital held by the owners of the business, or the persons who held the equity share capital have the voting power, and those who have some preference rights over the equity shareholders is known as the preference shareholders, and the persons who pay such capital, or the share capital paid by such persons is known as preference share capital. Then come into the shareholders funds. Shareholders funds, or equity, we can say equity is equal to share capital plus reserves and surplus plus money received against share warrants. Money received against share warrants means money received by the company which can be converted into shares. Then the shareholders funds can again be calculated in another way, that is non-current assets. The assets that are not current assets. Current assets, you know, the assets that are held for a period of 1 year. Though the assets that are not current assets is known as non-current assets plus working capital. Working capital is equal to current assets minus current liabilities, minus non-current assets plus working capital minus non-current liabilities. Liabilities which are not current liabilities is non-current liabilities. Then we can come into one question. One balance sheet of ABC Company Limited as on 31st March 2005 is given. We have to calculate the debt equity ratio. Then we have given the shareholders funds, the non-current liabilities, current liabilities, non-current assets and current assets. First of all, we have to write the equation for debt equity ratio, that is debts divided by equity. Then we have to find the debt and equity in separate ways. So debt is equal to, what is the formula for finding the debt? Here, debt, what is the debt? Debt kadam, company kadam. ഏതൊക്കെ വരും? Long term borrowings, other long term liabilities and long term provisions. Then the amount is written. When we add the amount, we get the amount as 5 lakh. Then we have to calculate equity or the shareholders funds. We have given directly the shareholders funds, that is share capital, reserves and surplus and money received against the share warrants. So we first of all we write all the things, that is share capital plus reserves and surplus money received against share warrants. Then the amount is written. Then when we add this, we can get the amount as 15 lakh. We can calculate in another manner equity, that is we have already discussed, that is non-current assets plus working capital minus non-current liabilities. Non-current assets come into question. Non-current assets, we have given this fixed assets, non-current investments and long-term loans and advances. When we add this one, 15 plus 15 plus 2 plus 1, what we get? 15, 16, 17, 18. So 18 lakhs is the non-current assets plus working capital. How to find working capital? Current assets minus current liabilities. Coming to the question, current assets. Here we have given the current assets, that is when we add this all the current assets amount, that is 1,50,000, 1,50,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakh and 50,000. We get the amount as 7 lakhs minus current liabilities. Again coming back to the question, current liabilities. Here this we have to add this all amounts, that is short-term borrowings, trade payables, other current liabilities and short-term provisions. Then by subtracting the current assets minus current liabilities, we get the amount as 2 lakhs. Then again we are finding the equity. Then we have to find what non-current liabilities we have to find. So again coming to the question, non-current liabilities, this we have to add the long-term borrowings, other long-term liabilities and long-term provisions. So we get the amount as 5 lakhs. Then inserting the amount and solving this, we can get the amount as 15 lakh. This is the same as we found out earlier. Then we come into the equation of debt equity ratio, that is debt divided by equity. Debt we have found out as debt amount is 5 lakh. Then 5 lakh divided by 15 lakh. We get the amount as 0.33. It has to be written as in a ratio figure, so it is written as 0.33:1. Then the next ratio is debt to capital employed. The equation is total debts divided by total assets. Then proprietary ratio. Proprietary ratio shows the relationship between shareholders' funds and capital employed. Capital employed is also known as the net assets. Then another ratio, that is total assets to debt ratio. Again the equation is total assets divided by long-term liabilities. We can discuss the question related to these ratios in the next class. Hope you understand it. Thank you.